Hello, your brony. It is Al Knight. It is brony time, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the last video, we thought that we had come to the conclusion that it was an accident, but after tons of contradicting evidence, we had come to the conclusion that it was not an accident. And we stopped in the middle of us explaining why it wasn't an accident. Mainly that A, the death was instantaneous, therefore Cosmo could not have written the message, and B, why did the other half of the bell, and we found one half of in Cosmo's cabin, end up back in Pavlova's cabin. So, we also confirmed that the door could have indeed latched shut if the ship had an emergency stop. But I feel like we're in the endgame of this case, so let's get back to where we were left. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. Sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship! I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learnt a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin door slide closed. So, we must now consider. Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not?
You are idiots! Purely as you ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop even in the middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruto? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence? Mr. Naruto.
Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night?
It would be the ship's log.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right?
That is correct. Why?
In the ship's log here, this would be where you record the details of your duties.
What are you doing with that? That is mine!
You are rather carelessly left it up top the little makeshift bureau of the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later.
I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always.
The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all.
Nothing recorded in the log. That is... because nothing happened.
But if nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you?
Indeed so. Which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened.
There aboard the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night?
Stop talking rubbish!
If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently and the alarm bell was so loud. Can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, ma'am. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Quite strange that Cisato had it too. Ah! Oh, yes. I've had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right, my head's been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. And the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all this was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No! Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug? So no one noticed the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course it's not what Mr. Sho means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a sulfuric drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not make all of the drug, how do you say, dissolve? Talk about heavy season.
At the midnight in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by comrade on shore with small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Buria slept soundly. Thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on that ship last night were the crew, people who just like chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Cosmo's cabin door. But how does that make... But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case. There would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Follow up, man. The chicken, it was drugged. Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins. After which, they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with the cabin doors bolted anyway. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I am just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Actually you do. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes. Do you hear it? The accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Chums? With observation, my dear fellow. Just as I said, of these two provocateurs. Observation. If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we are looking for is some sort of evidence that one of these two were there when it happened. Precisely. You're delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence to show someone else was there last night when Cosmo died. I'm so sorry for that.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Ah, yes, I
I don't know where the dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Season Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. I'm sorry, that was wrong voice. I'm struggling this episode.
Indeed, it is.
So, Mr. Naruto, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then. The evidence that proves what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is. Gosh. I'm struggling.
Oh my gosh. So sorry. Just like trying to gather my things so I don't.
Yes!
Yes, it's the photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform.
Ink?
A rather unusual color of ink. Purple. Ah! Ah, the penny drops, at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victor's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of the exact same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way, which means you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilled. Alright. Yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Deadstone's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Bioria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Piff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. You are women. Shut up. It was after 1 in the morning. I'm sorry.
But it's oh, don't do this to women. Just let women explain for themselves. Don't do this crap.
It is really cringe. It's after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet.
Biff, please, you must help me.
God, it is really hard to do girl Russian. I can't. Like, I'm sorry, I'm trying so hard and it just hasn't worked this entire case. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here?
Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend.
Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over and broke his neck when he fell to the floor. Yes, that is right. So after the incident, when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard a sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Oh? Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last?
Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind! Oh, Mr. Sholmes. This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. It's a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that participated in these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruto? Oh, well... Cosmo tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck. Which part of this photograph print seems unnatural? It's this right here. Why is his fist bunched up like this?
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought that occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here, we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. Something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please! Why, of course, my dear madame. Would I keep you in suspense? Yes. This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It is very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks... It looks familiar somehow. Sure, I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruto. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Cosmo's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes. She has such petite ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells. But what's that? There's something attached to her ear. Ah, I expect that's what's called an earring. It's a little piece of jewelry. An earring? Is it? It really is tiny. Perhaps part of it is missing. Maybe it broke off. So now all that's left is the clasp part that attached to the ear. If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear, even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part of it seems to be missing. Little ink holding it on must have broken, I suppose. Eh? What? But looking at your other ear, I noticed a crescent moon. Oh, I don't believe it! So even Biff didn't know, huh? Now, if the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist, clearly there was only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruto? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Sogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear, perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Sogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Sogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments?
Oh, no. Angel?
No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? I don't know what the... I'm sorry, it's just random noise.
When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in his cabin, and I could relax after this horrible long day. Darka! Wait!
That's German, not Russian.
I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darker would not come back.
What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Inspector? God, I forgot his voice. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
The young man from your country. He was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin.
Just a moment. Sorry, but...
Oh, yes?
I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before.
Ah!
Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina.
Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina?
Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But, what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment.
I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth, and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice.
I see. So you've run away.
Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone.
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait! I shouted, and then Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet, and as he turned around to look at me.
Oh, God, that was... Oh!
I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me.
And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganov, who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said,
"Help me, Bin. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go."
So you decided to help.
That's when you arranged things in Cosmo's cabin to make it look like I did it, so that no one would suspect the passenger of the cabin next door. Yes, I went into cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway, in wardrobe, still sleeping, right? That's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed the wardrobe doors and put back strange paper side. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Suzato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote garderobe, so that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway? Yes. Accordingly, the SS Buria did indeed come to an emergency halt a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Cosmo about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes, but even if you had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Cosmo, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was... Can we determine whither the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. It's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night, when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama. Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. Not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion,
You can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following that gaze to where it lands. So when you turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Cosima looking at? It's the wardrobe.
Take that!
Considering everything that happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Cosima was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly besides the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe. And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Ah! Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if between them they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh, no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova. Sorry, guys. I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. I'm sorry, guys, like, this actually choked me up there. This is, for me, out of what I've played, because I haven't played the Apologistus trilogy that's coming out on any of those games. I've seen a little bit of them, but to me, this is the most tragic case in Ace Attorney of what I've played. It's just, oh, man. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now, then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Sorry, I wasn't doing his voice. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So, she won't be going back to Russia, then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman Stroganoff? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Cosima's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. Guess it is our cabin now. Looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago, Cosimo and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now.
Excuse me? Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Susato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Naga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over just like that. Susato-san. He had such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yeah, I feel like also when someone, no matter how many excuses they make, when they like end up truly showing remorse for what happened, I don't know, it's really hard to hate that person from the bottom of your heart. Like, and plus, as she said, the thing that makes this situation different is this wasn't really murder. This was involuntary, or is it? I don't know if it would be considered voluntary, involuntary manslaughter. But it's just hard when it's, like, not intentional. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down, and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now, at least— What? Huh? No! God damn it, Sholmes! We were having a moment, man! What the hell? Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo! What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry, so I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway after all. Oh! He thinks this is funny. Mr. Sholmes, we do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port, in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make full report of everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute! It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but poor Susato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. You know no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Mrs. Otto. Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah! But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruto. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruto? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruto, that's ridiculous. Are you still suggesting anybody can learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if, by the time I reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Mrs. Otto? I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, no, no. It's madness. It's fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of the morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. He's such a good boy, Sholmes. He's our lovely little himbo. He's an idiot savant. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector! After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next, and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruto? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant, after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruto, I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it, always. So then, Mrs. Otto, seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruto. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. You shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask you too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. No matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from the inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you, and not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me, throw me, do it. Don't even think about it. No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life, and plus you're a woman, I can't throw you. Very wise, Mr. Naruto. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed you throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling. Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently, it's called the Susato takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I'm a practitioner of the combat of arts myself. I'm a somewhat accomplished boxer. This comes from the Robert Downey, Sherlock Holmes. There he goes, dancing around again. Wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madame. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruto? Sorry. Hinya! As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was the Susato squash. Oh my god, those two are... she really is a fangirl and her hero. My groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma, flickered into my mind. Karuma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. Can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So Snake compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. Oh, man. Some people don't like this case, and I guess I can see why. I mean, once again, Great Eastern Adventures has a lot of pacing problems. But
This case is just probably the most tragic case in the Ace Attorney series for me, with how much of a I mean, more than Mia's, because like all the other cases we have done up until this point, the murder was intentional and the person who did it was like absolutely bad to the bone. But this one is just no. So I actually give this case an A minus just for, you know, taking that different step. But anyway, that concludes what I like to call the prologue of the game. I consider the first two cases one log prologue. It introduced us to the examination. We are introduced to the grade deduction and course correction. We've been, um, I mean, actually, technically, the first three cases are a bit of tutorial that introduce us to all the like mechanics of the game. There's one more coming in the next case, I think, that will be introduced. But in terms of this one, in terms of like character setup, and it was just I like this case on the basis that it helped set up, a relationship between Ryunosuke and Susato. It helped establish their relationship very well, I think, and how they come together. So now we just continue on in Great Britain and see how those relationships develop. And of course, we got introduced to Sherlock Holmes, who actually doesn't make super common appearances. I mean, he rarely ever shows up in court. I mean, technically, I guess he shows up in a lot of the investigation portions is when he comes, and he shows up in the court sometimes. But he is such an idiot savant, um, and a himbo, and I adore him for all of that. He's really funny. Anyway, tell me what you guys thought of the case. And thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Brony Time for more content, especially more great Ace Attorney. Also, make sure to share this video far and wide so more people can discover this series. It is January. It is the month of Ace Attorney. And anytime I record, I will be recording exclusively The Great Ace Attorney, 2 videos in 1 session, so 2 hours of recording, if I get the chance, that is. It may not always happen, but we'll see. But I will see you all in the adventure of the Runaway Route.